As part of our yesterday discussion, we taken details more about HashMap and especially with custom objects, how HashMap is working internally. And whenever especially we are dealing with keys as custom objects, so how internally it is identifying the duplicate objects, those are all details we discussed. So we have to remember, like similar to HashSet point of view, whenever we are dealing with custom objects or user defined objects, or maybe just like objects, instead of primitives and string value, whenever we are passing objects, so what will happen here it is, if that class doesn't have equals and hash code overridden implementation, then internally when you are passing same content, when you are passing content wise same but reference wise different, then it will consider as two different objects. So two different references considering as two different objects even though content is same, even though content is same. So the content is exactly matching but reference is same. So such cases, what will happen here it is, it will try to make sure both are by default two different objects. But in reality, those two are having same data. Exactly every property is having same data. So that means maybe reference is different, but data wise both are same. So we have to consider data actually. So then what we have to do is we have to make sure equals and overrider method equals and hash code method should be overridden in that class with respect to the properties what we are considering into content evaluation. So like this. So then what will happen here it is internally whenever we are adding an object to the hash map key, or whenever we are adding a key with respect to an object, it will always verify the content of the object with the existing keys content. So if it is matching exactly based on the equals and overriding point of view, it will compare. So if it is, I mean, equals method point of view, it will compare and it will calculate the hash code value also when both are same like that. So then it will start making, it will decide only one object instead of, I mean, if content wise same and hash code wise same, everything is same, then it will decide like key is already existed. So let's take the latest value like that. It will just consider the value and it will update the value. So that means there is no duplicate keys happening when you are overriding this thing. So it's the same exactly we did in the HashSet level also. Whenever we want to store custom objects, usually HashSet behavior is unique values. But whenever we are adding an object with different references with same data without equals and hash code method implementation, so then HashSet considering both are two different objects. Both are two different objects. But content wise both are same. So but reference wise both are different, but content wise both are same. So in that case hash set is also not considering both are unique values or unique objects, but content wise not unique, right? So then what we did, equals and hash code we implemented there also, and then it started taking objects as same objects when not only okay reference wise it is comparing, it is going to compare with respect to internal data also, the properties data also, the content of the object also. If content of the object is also matching based on the equals method implementation, then internally java considering as duplicate object. If not matching content, then unique objects. Like that you can avoid unique, you can avoid duplicate objects in hash set as well as keys in the hash map. So these details you have to remember, because in every interview they will ask you, can you explain how to avoid duplicate objects in the hash map as a keys. Values you don't have anything, because the reason is values are allowing duplicate values. Even though you are taking a simple primitive values or a string value as a hash map value, okay, as an hash map value, whenever you take a simple string data type or integer data type also, it's allowing duplicates. That's the nature of hash map values especially. But when it comes to keys are always unique. It is going to remain always unique. So when it comes to the object point of view, how we are achieving that uniqueness in HashMap is all about. Again, we have to take care of equals and hashcode method implementation. Similarly, same thing we did in the HashSet also. So they will ask one more same type of question like, so how we are achieving unique values or unique objects inside the HashSet. Can you explain the process like that? So then we have to explain what will happen like that. So if you are not overridden equals and hashcode method, how HashSet will behave with respect to content of the objects. If you are after adding the hash the equals and over equals and hashcode method based on the properties, then how content is, how internally HashSet is working with respect to while you are adding the values to HashSet like that. You have to explain all the scenario. We discussed all those in the HashSet level also. Same discussion we carried yesterday here also. Okay, so these are all very very important with not only with respect to interview, with respect to real time applications also, because the reason is, you know that right, when you are working with real time applications, you will have thousands of objects or sometimes, okay, lakhs of objects or millions of objects also. Then how you are going to segregate, how you are going to identify duplicate objects for all the overall the over, okay, on the on top of all objects. So you have to filter, you have to eliminate duplicate content, duplicate objects. So then you should know all these equals hash code functionalities. Definitely, guys. Okay. So otherwise you can't eliminate the duplicate objects, duplicate content across objects. You can't eliminate if you don't know those things. Okay. So please try to enhance your knowledge. You know, sometimes that's what one of the most important point with respect to interview and real time is the contract between equals and hash code method. Leave about collection framework, leave about HashSet, HashMap. But individually, what is the equals method? What is the hash code method? Why they given? Why we have to override? At what scenarios we have to override? N number of questions. See, small, topic wise, it's a very small topic. So that's what that is what the difficulty of Java. First of all, Java itself, we are having very vast things. So very huge number of things in Java language. But at the same time, in that every item point of view, again every concept point of view, we have again n number of consequences, n number of use cases point. So that's how people whoever is confident with respect to each and a topic, individual level, individual point of view, they can easily start getting the knowledge. And it is always interconnected, guys, interlinked. The people who knows equals and hash code functionality are the rules between equals and hash code functionality. What is the purpose of equals and hash code? In general, why we will use equals and hash code? They can easily understand why we are overriding equals and hash code while we are storing objects in the hash set, while we are storing objects in the hash set to eliminate the duplicates. And people who understood equals and hash code at that time and who practiced it very well, and they can understand why they can understand easily why we are making equals and hash code method while we are storing keys into hash map. So it's all that means, first of all, before understanding hash set and hash map with respect to duplicate objects point of view, first you have to concentrate on what is equals, what is hash code, what is the contract between these two things. So we take an examples. I taken 2 3 examples. So first you have, on top of that, you have to understand the concept, you have to practice more like, okay. So please, why I'm just saying is, so you're almost going complete your training. So please take care of all the practice. It's all about practice, guys. And I will tell you one more thing. A training, okay. So when it comes to training, a trainer cannot take all the things what you are going to face in your future. Okay, as a trainer, we can't deliver. Okay, we can't deliver all the things exactly same, exactly same, like what you are going to face in interviews or as well as in real, okay, in real time projects point of view. No, we can't do, not only me, anyone cannot do that. The reason is providing fundamentals with very much internal details is the training can do that. Okay, fundamentals with practical information. Up to that level, a trainer can do that. But it's not like every point, each and everything, what exactly you're going to face in interviews, what exactly going to you're doing in the real-time projects. Okay, in the same point of view, in the same things, a trainer can't deliver anytime in entire life. The reason is different real-time projects, different scenarios, different interview panels, different thoughts. Okay, so we can't guess what kind of questions will come in future, what questions you are going to ask today, what questions you will face tomorrow. Nobody is having guarantee. Even sometimes when I am attending interviews also, sometimes I'll feel a question is completely new. In my 12 years I never saw that kind of question like that. So that means that that's what reality point of view. Because whatever I knows, maybe the opposite person knows more better than me. So he was asking, maybe sometimes whatever he knows I'm not aware of it. Maybe he's not expert, but he's whatever the small thing he know, that concept I'm not aware of it. So he is good in that area. So then he will start asking that question to me, can you explain this, what is this, what like that. So then I'll say I don't know. So that's what, it's all reality. So as a trainer, we can do only like things, we are just making things in an order. Like, okay, what we are just making a roadmap. As part of the roadmap point of view, we are making a sequence of concepts in an order, which has to be taken first, which has to be taken next, the interlinking between one concept to another concept. So this is what we are just making as a trainer point of view, just the fundamentals, basics, and all the concepts point of view. So we are just taking into right path. And while you are just traveling into this right path, there are so many things that will happen. One is your self learning and attending the interviews, observing the real time applications, connecting with people, listening the practicing other projects, or looking into others code. Start looking into your friends code, whoever is doing very well coding. So that means these are all items you have to collect again while you are traveling as part of your training journey. So attending the interviews, watching others interviews, or how people are writing the logic. Okay, what is the style they are following? Okay, how people are talking with respect to programming point of view. So communication point of view. So how people are answering in interviews. So taking mock interviews or giving mock interviews to your friends. So these are all things you have to take care along with this path. So that is how you have to build your entire career until your IT career is ending. So even it's a lifetime ending. Even right now, I am also going to learn new things when we are working for the real time projects. It's not like every time we will get a say we will get the requirement what I am aware of it, or not only me, any other person also. So no, sometimes we'll get very new things. We have to work on it. We don't know anything about it. We have to focus on it like that. But if you are strong in the fundamentals with respect to training, for example, how object getting created, how internally hash code values will be calculated, or how, so whenever object got created, instance variables will be initialized with default values. So when you are overriding equals method, so these are all fundamentals point of view. What is the difference between static variables and hash? Okay, it's not like theory point of view. With respect to memory allocation, what's happening in the JVM memory point of view? What is an inheritance? What is an abstract class? What is an interface? What is the difference between interface and abstract class? So at what scenarios we have to use? So these are all n number of questions. That's what I said. With respect to equals and hash code, as a trainer, we may discuss only one session or maybe one, two, three examples. What is the purpose of it and all? But when it comes to see the traveling of equals and hash code concept is happening into other areas also. So that's what the fundamentals when you are in strong, that whatever the examples were taken and what you understood practically, then you can understand the other things with rest which are interlinked to these areas like that. So please take care of all these things, because the reason is you are going to complete the training. Maybe you are just left with few of the concepts. I don't see any important concept except to stream API that we will start uh, right after this class. So after that, very small things we are having, but majority and the real time concepts what we are going to use in day to day in our real time applications, you are almost done all the training, especially OOPS principles, exception handling, collection framework. These three concepts, these three topics, especially every second, every minute we will use in the real time applications. Every second, I can say like every second The moment you are writing one line code means out of these three concepts one concept will be there in a real time application, that I am guaranteeing. One line you are writing means 99% is the out of these three areas one concept will be there. So that much important it is. Okay, file operations, you are if you are dealing with only files, threads, and I don't think nowadays very rare case people are getting an opportunity to work with multi-threading. In my last 12 years career, I never worked on multi-threading. We never got a chance. I mean, we don't. Our applications itself doesn't have multi-threading. Why we don't have right nowadays? Why we are not getting multi-threading work? I'll explain that later. At one point of time, multi-threading is more popular, but nowadays no. Nowadays no. The reason I will explain why and all we will see that. That's what I'm telling you. The rest of the topics, what we are having, what we are just very minimal topics, and it's not that much important. Also, I can say like except to the Stream API, and the rest of the things like what you are having, file operations and threads, that's what these are the two items we are having majorly. File operations, okay, we have to we should know it, but it's not like every day you are going to do file operations in a project means very rare case. Very rare case you will do that. Threading, that's what I told you. In my 12 years of career, I just maybe I never ever worked continuously for 1 or 2 days also. But having awareness is more important. What is happening internally and all that we can create. But that's what I'm telling you. If you open any real-time application, you will see everywhere until these concepts, until Stream API, okay, everywhere, every second you will use in your real-time applications. So please go through it. Please practice it. You are almost done with your training, except these three areas, and let's see how it goes. Okay. So let's come back to the hash map only. So let's conclude the hash map, tree map, and all these areas by seeing the difference between hash map and tree map quickly. So the reason is we discussed hash map very well with respect to keys, values, and everything. Now only thing is we will just identify the difference between hash map and tree map, and as well as we have one more class called as hash table, and I'll take one more thing called as concurrent hash map. So I'll just take a small examples. I'll just give you the differences between all these areas, all these classes. I'll just give you and I'll close this topic because operations wise everything is same, key value pairs only. So these are all similar to hash map operations only. Okay, but what is the minimal differences in between one class to another class? Let's take it. Okay, first let's see tree map point of view. What is the difference? First, let's take a tree map basic operations I'll take, and then we will see the difference between tree map and hash map point of view. So now let's take tree map and then observe here what I'm doing. Okay, so just key one, value one, key two, value two, like that. We taken all unique keys, all unique values, right? So if operations wise, logic wise, coding wise, you are doing exactly same, similar to HashMap. There is no difference in that. Methods, whatever we discussed, put to get, okay, tree set, entry set, sorry, entry set, key set. So whatever the things mostly we saw in HashMap, like with respect to custom objects point of view also, almost same. But small differences will be there. That's why they given a separate class. Let's see what is the thing here it is. For example, if I take an ONU1, key as 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7, like that. Okay. And what I will do is value 4. Okay, let's keep like this and let's print the values. See, I'm directly writing map.keyset. I'm just taking all the keys and I'm just printing key and its respective values. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. So it's all just 100% is common logic similar to HashMap only. But one small difference will be there. Let's see here. Okay, so if you observe here, what happened? 4, 1, 6, 3, 2, 5, 7. So what you observe here, that's what the most important thing here it is. So if you observe here in this case, what happened? The values, keys, not values, keys especially. So if you observe the keys, first 4 and then 1 and then 6 and then 3 and then 2 and then 5 and then 7. So what you observed here it is keys are stored in an ascending order. Keys are sorted. Keys are stored in sorting order. So in the tree map, what will happen here it is, if it is tree map point of view, keys stored always in the keys stored always in sorting order. In sorting order. So if you take an hash map, there is no, you can't guarantee what is the order the keys will be stored. If you take an hash map in this case, there is no guarantee. So if you see the hash map, so if you see the hash map, there is no guarantee. You can't give the guarantee keys will be sorted in which order. See here, if you want. Yeah, if you see here 6, 1, 4, there is no order. There is no guarantee for keys order. But when it comes to hash map, so what's happening here it is, sorry, tree map point of view, it's all keys are stored always in the sorting order. So by default internally it will take care. Sorting. Okay, that is rule number one. So point number keys stored in sorting order, but not values. If you observe here, values are again not like that. Value 6, value 1, there is no sorting. Only keys perspective, values are stored in the keys. So tomorrow when your requirement is demanding, for example, let's take a blind example or let's imagine a normal example. For example, I given a requirement like this, guys. So I said like, please collect all students information based on student student ID. So this is what I given, and make sure, and I given exam, and I mean I given one more compulsion here. It is make sure student IDs in an order. This is what I given requirement. I want to see finally one Dilip, like one comma Dilip comma Hyderabad, two is a key like that. I want to see in an order. Keys should come like this instead of jumbling order. So then definitely if you are taking tree map, automatically if you take an integer comma something like student object, if you are added key values like this, then automatically all these values will be sorted. So that is all based on the requirement you can have to go. So for example, if you don't have this compulsion, so there is no compulsion on the keys like whether it has to follow an order or not, then it's okay. Then you can go with HashMap itself. So HashMap by default people will prefer generally when you are working for key value pairs concept. When you have compulsion on the keys, then it's better to go with, like, especially in the sorting order point of view, we have to go with tree map. So that is how people will check. Now, second point, when it comes to hash map, in interviews they will ask you what is the difference between hash map and tree map. This is the one of the point. Yeah. And hash map will not allow any keys. Will not allow, sorry, tree map, not hash map. Will not allow key null as key. Null as key. So that means in hash map, do you remember or not, when I discussed about hash map, we saw that it will allow one null value, one null key, sorry, not null value. If you observe here, so it's allowing one time null value, null as a key, null as a key, sorry, null as a key, it will accept. But internally, when you're given second time, it will take the latest value. So that means one null key is ultimately in the hash map level, what we understood, one null key is available. You can provide one time null key, but not more than that. But when it comes to tree map, even you can't do that one time also. So even you can't do that one time also. See here, map dot, and then I'll give here null as a key, null literal. Okay, null. So you know that null keyword, right? So that I'm giving, and value as 8. So if I did same thing in the hash map, okay, in the hash map level, an entry object created with null, an entry object created with null, right? But when it comes to the tree map, see here what will happen. I'm printing again all the values of the hash map. I'm trying to put key as a null. Now what you got? Null pointer exception. So that means this is one of the biggest difference between hash map and tree map. So will not allow null as a key. Null as a key. So single, that means all keys must and should contain a specific value. Not at all allowed a null value. So if you are trying to give null, if you are providing null, then we'll get null pointer exception. So it's strictly eliminating the null as a key in the tree map point of view. And when it comes to value, yes, you can provide any number of values. There is no restriction on the values. Many times we can pass, many times we can pass null as values. So that is common in the hash map also, right? In a hash map also you can pass n number of time null. So if you see here, I'm passing 7 and followed by null and followed by something, just null. See here, null, null. You don't see any issue. So that means what is the major difference between hash map and tree map in this case is it's purely, I mean, it's just following the sorting as well as it's not allowing even single time also null as a key. But if it is hash map, at least one time is allowed, one null is allowed as a key, but not more than that. But here, even that one time also not allowed. Even though if you are given what is happening, you are getting null pointer exception. Okay, so that is tree map. And then the major difference is this is the only one thing, guys. Okay, these are the two things only. And rest of all the operations, methods, see, methods wise, if you take in anything, for example, I'll just show you the methods. I'll not take examples. We covered everything in the hash map point of view. So tree map point of view, please carry your own practice. Please practice. Okay. And yeah. So I said, right, what is the use case of taking hash map into real-time applications is it's all about when you are expecting things in the sorting, then it's better to go with TreeMap. If you're not expecting keys in the sorting order, then you can go with HashMap only. So depends on requirement, you have to consider either HashMap or TreeMap. Okay, so what I would like to show you here it is. Yeah, methods, right? So get, we know that getting a single based on the key. Key set, we used it. Getting all keys as a set. We discussed in the hash map. Put, we know that. Contains key, contains value. So we all discussed, clear. Comparator and all we will see later. Was a separate example I'll cover. Compute, these are all not required. See, don't think like all the methods, whatever available in the class, you should aware of it 100%. No, guys. No, no. Very rare case people will use couple of methods. For example, if you say again compute if absent, present. Frankly, I'm telling you, and I don't know what are those methods, and we never use in our applications also. I think those maybe there is a purpose, but that means that it's not a regular purpose. But in interviews also they will ask mostly regular purposes, what are being used in regular basis, but they will ask you in practical point of view. That is the difference between asking common thing or a regular item what we are being used in every application or day-to-day point of view but they will expect answers in the practical point of view instead of theory point. That is what interview. So entry set, we know that yesterday we taken. It will give all entry objects. That means with respect to key value pairs. First entry, first key. So what is the meaning of first entry, guys? You can imagine. So it will give first key value pair in the tree map level. So this is a new method in the tree map. So it will give only first entry. That means I can say like this one you will get if you are accessing this first entry method. First key method you will get 4 like that. Floor entry means last one. So I will get this one. Floor key means last one 7. So just try these methods. That's what I'm telling you. Please practice. Try to understand all the methods in the tree map also. What at least what you can understand common from hash map point of view. So for each, for each we will discuss that method. I will discuss in the as part of next. For that you need to understand this consumer functional interface. So that's what I said. Next we will discuss same topic only. This functional interfaces, consumer. This is what you have to understand. What is a consumer and all. Then we can discuss it. Okay. So with this, I'm stopping the tree map concept also, and let's move to the next class available in the map interface point of view. See poll first entry, it will give first entry object, last entry object, like that. Put all we discussed yesterday and we take an example also. Put if absent also we discussed. Put last, that means you are just putting key value pair in the last. So remove, you know that based on the key. Replace, you know that. What is the meaning of replace and all we discussed yesterday. Size, yes, we know that. So submap, you know that from which key to which value you have to get it, like that. Tile map, okay. Values, only values. All the values you will get as a collection object. This also we discussed in the hash map yesterday. Is empty means just checking empty map is having any values or not. So if 0 values, then true, like that. Remove, you know that. Reverser means you are just making navigable map operation, just reversing keys in the reverse order point of view. Okay, so just try that method also. Sequenced key set, all sets in the sequence point of view. Sequenced values, all sets in the sequence, like that. Okay, don't worry all this. At least focus mainly on the iteration, addition, removing all these items. Whatever we discussed in the hash map point of view. So mostly majority of the times people will use hash map in real time applications. The reason is it's not like every time you will get a requirement like what you have to store all the time keys in the sorting order. When there is no this compulsion, definitely people will go with hash map only. Okay. So because the reason is definitely think when it is making sorting means what internally extra logic is executed. See, storing values blindly will not take much time. Storing values in an order, for example, if I entered 45 and then I'm entering 23. So that means again what I'm doing extra check like 23 is less than 45 or not. So definitely less than. So that's why I have to move it to previous position. Now again I'm adding one more key like this. Then I'm checking is it a less than or greater than. Okay, cool. Now I added one more value. So now what's happening? It's a small value when so I'm checking with all existing values is it less than or not. So it's less than to this value. So again I moved here. So that means arrangements are happening and all these cross checks are happening when you are storing the values internally. So that means obviously it will take some extra process. Storing values without any compulsion will not take that much logic execution because you are not implemented the logic for whether it is a small value or big value. But in this case, TreeMap point of view, internally you can guess they implemented logic like whenever you are adding a key, every time, for example, now if I 23 is added, what will happen? So this 23 will be compared with all the values. Is it small? Is it small? Is it small? Is it small? Like that. But that's why that means some extra logic is implemented and that is what executed. So definitely then what will happen? More performance point of view. I mean, when it comes to performance point of view, hash map will give more performance when comparing with tree map because in tree map extra logic is executed. As well as your requirement is not demanding keys in the order, then why you have to go with TreeMap? Go with HashMap only, like that. But your requirement is demanding definitely keys in the order, then if you are taking HashMap, you can't achieve it. So that for that you have to write some extra logic like making order in the order. So instead of you are writing already Java language provided with respect to sorting point of view tree map. So that's why we can directly take the tree map in that kind of specific scenarios. So that is what people will go with. Now next thing is we have one more class called as hash table. Hash table class. So it's a very old class in the collection framework as part of map interface only. Very rare people will use hash table, and I'll tell you why. What is the reason also? Okay, so the main difference between hash table and hash map, I'll give you one small example. Let's do one thing, guys. I'll you can start taking assignment with respect to what tree map also. Like what is my point is take some objects as keys and values in tree map also. Okay, and in tree map also, right? And what you have to ensure here it is ensure duplicate objects are identified and eliminated as as keys. So simply keys point of view, you know that unique keys. So you have to ensure duplicate objects are identified while you are adding as a keys, especially keys point. So just take care of this example in the tree map also. Okay, let's come back to the hash table. So hash table is similar to hash map only. So hash table is similar to hash map only. But what is the main difference between hash table and hash map point of view? Here it is. So hash table is a synchronized. Hash table is synchronized. Nothing but hash table is thread set. So it is just like similar to hash map functionalities only. Okay, that means it will not maintain any ascending order or all these things like that. So let's take a quick example. New class hash table demo. Okay, fine. Then let's create hash table. Yeah. If you see here again, same generics. You can provide integer, string, string, comma, integer like that. Now let's make adding the values. Okay, so I just added some values like this, right? So let's print it again. Same has set. See, methods all everywhere same methods. That's what we used to say. If you are good with one thing, you can easily understand all the things. Key set method only. So only thing is just I taken hash table now instead of hash map. So let's see the thing here. What you observed? 7654321 point of view, you see that, right? So that means in this case, it's just acting as a similar to hash map only. Now let's see, I'll keep one key as null. So hash map level it will allow, right? So null is allowed as a key in the hash map. Yes, you will not get any exception. So if you see here in this case also, what happened? Null pointer exception. So that means in this hash table also, what's happening here it is null not allowed as a key. Null not allowed as a key. So that is point number one. And hash table is thread safe. So what is a thread safe? I explained you already. I mean, with respect to array list and vector point of view, I explained you what is a thread safe. So but we don't know more about threads, but on high level I explained you. I'll just give you reminding you one more time what it is. So now let's do one thing. Okay, so it's not allowing null. Okay, point number one, not allowed as key. So let's try as a value. See this, these are the things only they will ask in interview. HashMap will allow null keys or not. Hash table will allow or not. If I given what will happen? Okay, if I given null as a value n number of times, what will happen? So these are all things they will ask in interviews point. So let's take null and more than once as a value. So what happened in this case? You got null pointer exception again. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'll give only one time. So again, you got null pointer exception. So let me remove that last null also. See here, you got the out. So that means what you observed here in hash table, okay, null is not allowed as a value also. As a value also. So you can't use null as a value also. So that's why hash table people will use very rare case, guys. In our real time applications, just mostly very rare case hash table being used, mostly hash map only. Because sometimes most of the times we will have null values. There might be a chance of getting nulls. So that's why people will prefer hash map only. But anyway, depends on the requirement. So if you want to avoid the nulls and when as a key and value, then it's better to go with hash table pointer. And one more, the most important thing here it is hash table is a thread set. Hash table is a thread set. So what is the meaning of thread set? Here it is. Okay, so what is the meaning of thread safe? Here it is. I said right last time I shown you processes also, right? So thread is nothing but a small processes like what we can see in our systems point of view also. See, these are all called as processes. Whatever you are seeing here, it is all processes to execute IntelliJ, Google Chrome in our computer. These are all happening paint point of view, paint processes. So internally it will have sub processes, everything. If you observe here, these are all sub process. It is utilizing CPU memory, RAM memory, everything, right? So okay, background, these are all things will happen. These are all what processes. Okay, if you see so many processes are running in our computer. Yes, it will run always because our computer, our operating system itself is software. So to execute a software point of view, generally we will have always threads in every operating system everywhere. Okay. So now this, I mean, sub processes will be called as threads. Overall thread, sorry, process, whatever you saw right now, inside that again, you will have small sub processes. I can consider as sub processes, and those are all called as threads. Those we can consider as a threads. So that means what these things will do is when you are trying to do a task, multi-threading point of view or multitasking point of view. For example, you created hash table object, hash table object, and if you created hash map object, you have both objects in the JVM. Okay, so in this case, what will happen here? It is the moment we created these objects and assume these are all having entry key value pairs and everything, key value pairs data also. Now for example, in our operating system, if you are having multiple threads, like I have assumed four threads, one, two, three, 4.0. So here what will happen here it is by default, this class logic is implemented as thread safe. Thread safe. Multi-threading point of view. So that means they implemented some extra logic called as multi-threading. So this class is implemented with concept of multi-threading or synchronization point of view. What is a synchronization? What is a multi-threading? We'll see that. But when it comes to the this hash map, no multi-threading, not thread set. So that means there is no multi-threading logic implemented as part of this class. So in this case, what is the drawback? If you are taking hash table for every time, what will happen here it is, even though there is no need of multi-threading, okay, execution environment in your application or in your object level, still it is executing in the multi-threading. That means what will happen here it is, a thread will execute, a thread will execute, first one thread will be allowed. If second thread is trying to come and access same hash table object, so when it one first thread is already working on the hash table, right? So it will not allow to it, so it will wait for the, it will not allow to operate directly on the hash table. So it will move to the wait position. Similarly, 3 also needs multitasking. Assume if things are happening in a parallel way, then you can execute things very quickly. If you are going in a sequential way, things are doing on parallel will complete very quickly. Things are doing one after another will take longer time, right? So in this case, based on the multi-threading logic what they implemented, so every thread internally will take care of the thread manager concept will be there. What it will do is it will allow a thread at a time on the object point of view, and rest of the threads will go to the wait position. And whenever thread 1 is completed its tasks, then again the thread 2 will be informed like, hey thread 2, your work, please start executing your things on this object, like that it will allow. So then meanwhile 3 and 4 are waiting, like that this, okay, this release and wait execution process will happen in this case point of view. But here by default what will happen is any thread can access directly without wait push. So all the thread parallelly, all these threads can come and work on this hash table object point of view. I mean, on a high level, I'm telling you. So then what is the advantage of this? Four threads are operating their work. Four threads are doing their work, okay, immediately on the hash table object. So you are not maintaining any queues, threading extra management in this case. So definitely what will happen performance wise, this will give more performance when you are not really required threading environment. But your requirement is demanding no take the data and allow at a time only one thread. We need to make sure some critical application or some multi-threading environment point of view, whatever it is. Then maybe you can take hash table because the reason it's already multi-threading. So it internally by default will allow one thread at a time, not more than that. If you are doing any delete operations point of view like that. So that is how Java language given two options to us. If you want to go multi-threading, go with this. If you want to go with not multi-threading, I mean, not a thread safe in your logic point of view, then use the hash map. So that's what I'm telling you. In real-time applications, very most of the scenarios we will not worry about multi-threading. So that means by default we will take hash map most of the scenarios in our applications also. Okay. So now, for example, and Java people or Java team prefers always are promoting always hash map using in the real time applications. Let's take hash map most of the time into real time applications. Now people will ask, so at the same time Java is saying, so it's better to take always hash map. So instead of hash map, do we have any other solutions? Is similar to hash map point of view. See here there is a map, right? Table hash table point of view, you are having some constraints, but you have one more class called as concurrent hash map. So now it is exactly same to hash map only, but it is thread set. It is thread set. So 100% is same to hash map, but it is thread set. So if you see here, yeah, concurrent hash map, right? So if you see here, I'm just putting values. Okay. So let's print the values also. Okay. So this IntelliJ is saving a lot of time mine. Okay. So see here, let's execute it first. So in this case, this concurrent hash map, the word concurrent itself, this terminology itself related to multi-threading is the concurrent itself multi-threading. So that means you want hash map behavior with threading environment, with multi-threading or thread safe environment, then you can choose concurrent hash map instead of hash table. It's a latest solution. See, that's what I'm telling you. It's a legacy solution and concurrent hash map is the latest solutions. So Java, if you observe most of the times forums and all, what people will say is instead of using hash table, please use concurrent hash map in a threading environment. So it's a replacer solution for the hash table in a multi-threading environment point of view. See, that's what they're explaining. A hash table supporting fully concurrence of retrievals. Some drawbacks are there in the hash table, simple point of view. To overcome all those drawbacks point of view, they came up with concept called as concurrent hash map point of view. So that's why they will always, Java is saying like, it's better to go with concurrent hash map instead of hash table when you want a thread safe object. If you don't have a thread safe concept, threading concept and all, you can go directly with hash map point of view like that. And if you see here null as a key, so let's execute. So what happened? Null pointer exception. So in the concurrent hash map also, you can't add the nulls. You are able to add null key only in the hash map. Simple point. The summary what you understood right now is not in the tree map, not in the hash table, not in the concurrent hash map. Only in the hash map level you can add it. But null values you can add here. String is a null value, right? So let's take here. No, I don't know why it is hanging every second. Every day it is hanging. Think powerful ID, right? So it will consume lot of our system resources. Okay, so that is all. You should know the differences between concurrent hash map point of view. It's a thread safe again. So it's a recommended solutions rather than in place of hash table. In place of hash table, people will recommend it this because hash table is having some drawbacks. It's a very old class implemented in previous Java versions, and then they identified those problems and they came up with concurrent hash map class point of view. Concurrent hash map table point of view they came up. So it's a thread set. Any other points we have to discuss with respect to map interface in this case is? Yeah, I think it will not allow null also. See here. Is it executing now? Yeah. See here, you got null here also. So that means in the hash map level only, you can add both keys and values as null, but not in other classes. So please note down all these differences. Okay, while you are practicing also, just note down which is allowing not null keys at least one null key or null values, which is allowing, which is not allowing. If you are giving null, if whenever it is not allowing, if you are giving null, what exception you are getting, please note down all the differences between all these tree map, hash map, hash table, concurrent hash map point of view. Please take care of it. Okay. Mm, Give me a second. Okay, so this is all about the map interfaces, guys. This is all about the map interfaces. Map interface and its associated classes. So especially we are dealing with key value pairs and what are the rules and regulations, how to iterate it. We completed all the basic operations and we taken with respect to user defined objects also we take it. So I covered almost everything related to interview point of view as well as a real-time application use cases point of view. We taken primitives, non-primitives, custom objects, making equals and hash code, implementation to avoid the duplicate keys. As a custom objects point of view to avoid the duplicate objects, we taken equals and hash code. All these scenarios we taken. So what I will recommend you here it is one of the most important interview question. One more question here it is. What people will ask majority of the times, internal behavior. I'm not going to take this question. Okay, you just start exploring on your own. Refer some Google, ask the chat GPT. But before going to the chat GPT, before going to the Google, before going to the YouTube, what you have to do, I'll give you the guidelines. Then just start preparing in answer for this question. Internal behavior of HashMap. Internal behavior of HashMap. So this is the one of the topmost interview question I saw in every most of the times. So that means you can't question like, sir, why people will ask why how internal it is working and all. It's okay. They are asking if you have to answer. If you are not answering, then you will not get the job. So don't question like a panel point of view. So the reason is I saw some people will make an argument like, so why people will ask how internal it is working. So when already Java is implemented the logic, why we have to worry internally? See, that's what practical. The thing is, they are just cross verifying how much practical you are with respect to understanding the concepts like that. So what you have to, it's a most important interview question only, frequently asked. So internal behavior of HashMap, can you explain? And I mean internally. So as part of this, you have one more question is how we are avoiding the collision. How we are, I mean internally how HashMap, not we. So internally how HashMap is avoiding collision. Something is there, like let me give you the exact scenario. HashMap, yeah, this is what HashMap collision. So these are all sub, that's what interview questions point of view, how to internally how it is managing or avoiding the collision, or simply like I can give this like this, managing, I think it's a better word. Okay, or what is a hash map collision? People will ask sometimes what is a hash map collision. Explore the things, okay? Nothing will happen. You will get the knowledge automatically. What is hash map collision? What is hash map collision? How it is managing the hash map collision? Uh, so like that, they will ask the questions. So you have to explain them like when you are doing the put operation, remove operation. So internal behavior with respect to hash map means they will ask with respect to while you are doing the inserting data as well as removing the data. In these two scenarios, how it is behaving, you have to explain. So internally under. So my suggestion here it is, first of all, before understanding, okay, to understand theory point of view, how to explain in the interview, right? So what I can suggest you here it is, first of all, put to method, right? So you put method, you are what you are doing, you are making data into hash map object. So for that you are calling the put method. So first see these, try to start looking into source code of hash map, guys. So HashMap is the class. You can see the source code, right? So this is all source code of HashMap class. Almost 2000 lines are there. Okay, 2500 lines. So you no need to do all the things. They are expecting only with respect to what put, and when you are adding the values, when you are removing the values internally, how HashMap is behaving and all. My point is just try to read all these things. Okay. So what they are explaining, get information from the generic sources first of all. So try to understand. It may you cannot understand within one time, two times, but if you started making reading a number of times, you will get things automatically. So now go to the put method. Yeah, put method, right? So what they are saying, if you see here, put key comma value. Again, they are calling one more method, put value. And as part of that, they are calling hash of key. So that means on a key, to identify which is a unique key, which is a duplicate key point of view, what they are doing is they are applying one more functionality called as hash functionality. So if you go to some YouTube videos, or maybe if you go to some online forums, how internally HashMap is working, they will say like the moment you are putting a key value pair, immediately internally it will start, okay, finding a unique value, or it will start identifying a hash value for the key. Like that they will explain. But if you are seeing source code at the same time along with the description, then you can easily, okay, you will be confident. So in explanation, they will say that, okay, when the moment you are adding put hash map, put comma, key comma value, it will start taking hash value, hash, okay, it will start hash value. Simple. It will find out some unique value on top of the key. Some formula they will apply and they will find out some unique number like that. Like that they will do, they'll tell that. Now go to hash map, how they are calculating a hash value. Here it is, H something, they're taking hash code values and some bit operations they are doing. So ultimately they will find out some hash value. Ultimately they find out some unique value on the key level. So that is how, if you started looking into source code level of the HashMap class, you can easily understand. Okay, once it is done, put value method, go here. Okay, they are finding the hash value, and internally they are trying to do what? Node objects, right? So this is what we discussed in the entry point of view also. So entry level, you will have nodes, key value pairs. And so that's what I'm telling you. Whether you can understand all the things means I can say that you can't understand. Even I cannot understand all the things. But at least you will get a confident, like at least you, by seeing few things, what they are doing internally, they are checking keys with previous keys, equals method. See, that's why I'm saying equals method has to be overridden. This knowledge you will get it. If you are going through they are checking key on top of key, what they are checking equals also. So that means they are checking and equals. Key is not equal to null and key is something like the previous keys. They are doing something else, right? So that is how finally they are making existing mapping for key. So already null is there, something like that, old value. So if you are making this level of code analysis, it's not only for answer. It's all about how much you are understanding the code which is written by a professionals. Okay, so that means Java team is implemented by definitely Java language is implemented by professionals. So by seeing this, at least you can also have a clear picture like how much important if else blocks, okay, for loops. So this is all real time coding. This is all real time coding only. It's a Java language being used by thousands millions of projects. This logic, that means it's a real time logic only. So no one, you can get knowledge from here. See here, if else if, do while loops, if else if, operations, arithmetic operations, sorry, conditional operators, equality operators, boolean operator. So these are all things, right? So you got everything, conditionals and everything, logical operators and everything. So instance of operator we discussed. We know what is the instance of. I discussed it. So why I'm saying like exploring the source code here, it is you just start things, then you will come to know that how much important things are what you learnt in previous classes like that. So instance of we discussed. What is the instance of? Identifying a, the reference belongs to really to a class or not, object reference like that. Contains value. So we use this method, right? Simply it will check the value is available. How it is, how they are checking? They are taking value here and they're just going to the They are iterating all the values and they are checking is it matching like that. It will they are checking. So just go through it. Okay, just go through it the much as you can understand it. At least you will get a awareness like at least by seeing this if loops, sorry, if conditions, for loops, nested for loops, you will realize like, oh, okay. So this much important we have to practice like that. See how much important conditions, looping statements, all these things. Final, you know what is a final, you know what is a boolean, right? Final methods. These are all final methods. What is the meaning of final method? Can any one of you tell me what is the importance of final method, guys? What is the meaning of final method? Why we have to write final method? What is the advantage of final method? Any one of you? If you know the answer, I'm okay. If you don't know the answer, means that means you have to question yourself like why you don't know it. Okay. So if you know answer, I'm okay with it. But if you don't know that, just question yourself like why you don't know that. Okay. Final methods. We discussed. When we made final methods, are those methods are not allowed to override by child classes. Preventing the override. Yeah, that's correct. That's what I'm telling you. So if you know the answer, I'm good. I'm happy for that. If you don't know that, so that why I'm showing all these things is that's what. By seeing these things only, right, you will realize whether the concept is really important or not. We as a syllabus point of view, we completed it, but whether it is important or not, when you will realize by seeing this kind of logics. So object array, okay, these are all things like that. Similarly, start exploring about. Sometimes in interview they will ask you, could you please explain how array list is working internally? Yeah, I can ask anything. At least what you can explain to them, that is what their intention is. Uh, Array list. So they are doing what? So whenever you created array list object, what's happening? See, I said right, internally they are using dynamic array. What array object type array they are doing? So the moment you created array list object, internally they are creating object array, all these things. Yeah, we understood like internally it is using arrays. But how you will get the confident? What is the source? Make it is clear. See here, they are using object array. That means internally they are using what concept? Arrays concept only. If you see here, initial capacity, I think 10 default size. Yeah, default capacity is 10. After that, they will start increment it. See what is this arrays concept? They are taking what array only. If you go to the method called as add method, so what is this? See, go to add method again, add elements data. See what is this? Element data means what a concept it is, arrays concept. So internally they are using array, but they made it as a dynamic array. They made it as a dynamic array by writing all extra logic. But internally they are using arrays concept only. What array? Object type array. Why object type array? Because in array list you can store any values, right? String, integers, student objects, employee objects, order objects, product objects, you can store anything. So that means for everything, object is a superclass. So that's why they directly define superclass reference, superclass type. Internally, they will do again the typecasting. Whenever you added the objects, whenever you are making the get also based on the generic type, what they will do typecasting, right? Check index, index is available or not. If not available, then you will get index out of bounds exception like that. So start exploring the source code and get your own ideas, get your own knowledge, try to improve your own knowledge. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm stopping this session and you have a next session on Monday onwards again. You don't have tomorrow on Saturday. I have some traveling. So I think that's what guys, you are almost done. Only thing is Team API is pending and that too I am giving you heads up to you. Please go through the functional interfaces and Lambda expression topic one more time before understanding these topics. Which one? The predefined functional interfaces, these four. These are all four. These four are functional interfaces only, but given by the Java, and we have some specific importance to these four. And if you are understanding these four, then only you can understand Stream API easily, very easily. Okay, so that's why. And to understand this, you need functional interfaces knowledge and Lambda expressions. So go through it. So next Monday onwards, we will start this concept functional interfaces. 1 hour it will take one class, because we already know what is a functional interfaces. The purpose of these four I'll explain between one example, and then we'll start immediately Stream API. So what is a Stream API? How it is operating on the collection framework? We will see all the things related to Stream API. And these are all small things. Optional class will take 10-15 minutes or a half an hour. Method references of half an hour, like that. I'll try to close it. Okay, so we'll connect on Monday, and we will start predefined functional interfaces and as well as Stream API. And note down these questions and just prepare yourself. Take some time, understand practically, make your own notes, make your own points in an order, make your own uh, what you make your own run book, guys. That's what you have to make, your own plans to success in your life. That's all I can say.